All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today for my video report about this full moon in Virgo. Happened about an hour and a half ago at 0 degrees of Virgo. And today is Tuesday, February 19th for folks who are tuning in. So yeah, I am really excited to be digging into kind of some of the upcoming themes for the next 2 weeks or so, that when we look at the full moons and the new moons, for folks who have been tuning into the video, we can get an idea of, I sort of use them as anchor points to kind of look at different themes of things that are going on right now, different potential energies to be tapping into, and different opportunities that are available to us through what's going on with the zodiac. So, as always, if you find this stuff is resonating with you and you want to learn more about your own chart, you can definitely reach out for a birth chart reading, and that can be really helpful in just kind of understanding how these different moments can impact and affect your life, and what kind of different opportunities are available to you specifically. So what I'm doing today is kind of a general overview of some of the different elements at play. So yeah, as I've said in my videos before, new moons are sort of the quiet, really concentrated, potent, almost like so concentrated form of a certain type of energy that it's like invisible, because it's just all kind of there. It's very subtle. Full moons, today we're having a full moon, on the other hand, sort of reveal the tension. So when we're looking at the zodiac, we can find that on either side of the zodiac, where a new moon and where the sun and the moon are when they're across from each other, that these two different signs that they're in, the sun today being at 0 degrees of Pisces, just went into Pisces today, and then the full moon happening at 0 degrees of Virgo. So when you look at the different axes that the full moons happen on, or whenever anything is really across from each other in the zodiac, or in an opposition, you find that these two opposing sides of the zodiac sort of represent two ends of a spectrum, and we live in an incredibly dualistic world where we think, we often say these things are opposites or are at odds with each other, and hence the sort of idea of the tension that kind of like can come up with a new moon. But I think really what we find when we look at the two opposite ends of these spectrums is this potential for synthesis, and that it's not like they will never find a common meeting ground, this Virgo and this Pisces energy, but rather that there actually really is this opportunity for finding somewhere to kind of like meet in the middle. And that's really what I think the full moons are kind of calling us to do. And the idea is like, we are entirely illuminated. Everything is entirely illuminated during a full moon. And so it's kind of exposed or raw, and there can be just this tension involved that can be a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what these different, what the Virgo and Pisces energies kind of are, so we can understand this full moon a little bit better. I'm also going to touch base on a few other really cool things that are going on. Mars and Uranus are both involved in this full moon, and so I'll talk a bit about that. And then there's this really beautiful sextile going on between Mercury and Neptune, which are conjunct together in Pisces. They're just 1 degree off, and then Saturn and Venus in Capricorn. And we've had like kind of this ongoing theme of the Pisces and Capricorn energies, and sort of like understanding how those two can work together since that new moon that happened in Capricorn. There's sort of been this like conversation. There's been a lot around control versus sort of like surrender, and I think Virgo also can sort of bring in that question of control. So that's what I'm going to mainly be talking about today. So Sun just moved into Pisces. The Sun is the core energy that is available to us right now and for this next month, and so it sort of like sets the tone, very relatable tone for for people to experience throughout the next month. So the sun moving into Pisces today, 0 degrees of Pisces, brings us out of this more objective, rational, kind of airy Aquarius space and into water, into deep sensitivity, imagination, a capacity to really, for transcendence. Pisces is about transcendence, it's about surrender, it's about letting go, it's about remembering, reconnecting to source, coming home. It's the last sign in the zodiac. It's sort of this like final kind of breath before it all dies and starts over again with Aries. So Pisces, yeah, really provides us with this opportunity to tap into bigger kind of like energy flows that are happening, to move out of the ego space for a bit and to really ultimately hand over the wheel. You know, it's this idea of like, how much do we and do we not have control over, and that's a big sort of theme of what this full moon is. So Pisces is just like this endless, boundless potential. Some of the more shadowy aspects of Pisces can be like totally disconnecting from reality, totally disconnecting from concrete, third-dimensional, this lifetime reality, and, you know, having a really hard time with being places on time, with being organized. We may want to be in this really kind of like daydreamy kind of space. And so, yeah, so this axis, the Pisces-Virgo axis, is all about, in my mind, is all about potential. So we look at this full moon in Virgo, and I think rather than thinking of the two at odds with each other, I think this is, the Virgo moon's actually can be really helpful for setting us up for a really fulfilling and nourishing Pisces season, because if we don't have that tethering, if we're not grounded in any way to reality, and we're spending all of our time in this idealized kind of space, nothing will ever happen, nothing will ever get done. We won't continue to be improving our lives, our well-being for ourselves and for those around us and for future generations to come. So Virgo brings in this accountability, this piece around accountability and around responsibility, accountability for ourselves and accountability for our communities. And so, like I was saying, this axis is about potential. So where Pisces is this unhindered, unbound, endless, limitless potential, Virgo is earthbound potential. So Virgo exists in this kind of paradoxical space of being able to both see the potential in things and to be very concretely aware of the material reality that we are existing in. And so it brings it into this way more kind of like pragmatic, realistic. It's this constant refining and improving of things. And I think for Virgo, folks who have a lot of Virgo energy in their chart, or just like kind of in this moment, it's I think this axis is both like everything is perfect just as it is right now, and nothing is ever perfect. It's sort of like this, we're in this space of like moving towards perfection, but also knowing that we'll never actually get to that like totally, that place of total perfection. And so just honoring that process and finding beauty in imperfection, beauty in imbalances. And I think Pisces definitely like provides, you can sort of find the medicine for the for one sign in the opposing sign. So, you know, the medicine for Pisces being, you know, these grand ideas, this total surrender, this total release. And then Virgo is like, okay, well, you know, whoa, like slow down a little bit. How can we actually like take some of these ideas and bring them into reality? So it provides this sort of like tethering cord. And so I think with the full moon in Virgo, we may be feeling a little bit exposed. Our imperfections may be feeling a little bit exposed to ourselves, and perhaps, you know, if you work on projects or with other people, you might be feeling a little bit vulnerable in your imperfections, or, you know, there's sort of just like, with that moving from Aquarius into Pisces season, it's been a lot of these big ideas, grand ideas, and just like excitement around all of that. And Virgo full moon can sort of bring this humbling humility, this like humbling moment of like, okay, well, like, how much is that going to cost? You know, like, how are we going to actually accomplish and do these things? So I think a potential might be to sort of fall into this like negative space of like over criticizing, over analyzing, and turning, you know, shutting down big ideas and big dreams, because the sun, the light is just shining so brightly on this like super vulnerable Virgo energy right now with the moon in there. Moon is our emotions, like it's super sensitive kind of space, and ultimately like we can't really make sense of our emotions. We can't really rationalize or reason through this like more subconscious part of who we are, which is the moon. So it can be this time of feeling just like a little bit harsh on ourselves if we don't have all of the pieces set in place to be accomplishing these sort of bigger ideas or dreams or things that we want to accomplish. So I think that it can also be kind of this like this moment, if we use it as an opportunity to say, okay, what are maybe, you know, Virgo is routine and sort of day-to-day things, and realizing that like we can actually, those things don't hinder spiritual awakening, Pisces, or connection with source, or connection with higher purpose, or, you know, ultimate surrender, transcendence. Virgo energy often I think is thought of as like hindering that. It's like, oh, the little details are getting in the way. If we can think of this Virgo energy as like, how can we use this sort of like pragmatic, realistic, grounded, formulaic, implementing routines? What are different little tiny tweaks we can make in our daily routines? Virgo rules the day-to-day, the mundane. How can we make these minor tweaks or adjustments that can kind of set us up for transcendence, for spiritual awakening, for deep emotional, creative fulfillment? So yeah, I think that there's definitely this kind of like pure, Virgo's also just, there's a purity to both Virgo and Pisces energy. And Virgo, it's sort of like this cleansing sort of energy that is possible today. And being at that 0 degrees, it's like we may be feeling, very raw and exposed. Allow, if there's some way to, you know, if it's taking a shower, taking a bath, if you're in somewhere warm, getting in some water, and just like letting that water kind of run over you, cleanse you, clear you, or if you do any kind of like energetic like clearing or cleansing, just like getting out that negative self-talk kind of energy that can come in with the Virgo stuff, and just you know, thinking about how can that energy be useful for me right now. That's actually a very Virgo way of thinking about things. Like, how can I actually use this energy not to be self-deprecating or not to be like harshly judging those around me, but rather to set myself up to really connect in with this, create the container so I can really connect in with this Pisces energy without getting totally lost and totally disconnected. So yeah, there's this really sort of like pure potential that is possible here, if we can kind of like release control a bit of all the details. And also, so there's a new moon workshop that I'll be doing in March. I think I'm going to do, I'm doing an in-person workshop in Burlington, and then I might try and do an online workshop. We'll see about that, but it's the new moon in Pisces, and that's going to be just this like super hyper concentrated Pisces energy time. So if we can make some little, if we're feeling like things, Pisces energy can feel out of control, you know, Virgo energy can get out of control in its own way too, of over-obsessing, overthinking, so meticulous and organized in every little detail of every little thing, where Pisces on the other end can be just like not looking at anything, totally losing yourself, totally, you know, forgetting about responsibilities and just bleh. And so I think right now is this moment to just like set ourselves up for success over the next month of Pisces energy by, if there are little, it is important to bring in that critical and judgmental lens if it is for our healing and our growth. So if there are behavioral patterns of things that are just not working out, without judgment, that's kind of the key to the Virgo energy, is like, without judgment, how can I make some adjustments in my routines or in the things that I'm doing? Is that going outside and trying to be outside more? Simple, tiny little goals or little tweaks that can create more space to be really fully connected in with sort of like the energetic field of like what Pisces is, but sort of having that tethering there here on Earth to keep our bodies healthy. Virgo rules the body. And we're going to have this theme kind of continuing with Saturn and this Capricorn energy and this Taurus energy on either side of this Pisces energy. So, we've got Pisces, and we've got Aries, and we've got Aquarius, and we've got Capricorn, and we've got Taurus. And so that's called a sextile, when they're like 2 degrees apart, or 2 signs apart from each other. So like right now, Neptune and Mercury are both at 15 and 16 degrees of Pisces, and then Saturn and Venus are at 16 and 18 degrees of Virgo, and so that's called a sextile. So these are very supportive, kind of grounding tethers also. There's a lot of earthy energy right now. So right as we're about to slip into Pisces season and sort of slip into, Pisces is like water vapor. Like, it's just like endless, boundless. Imagine, there's so much opportunity for imagination and really connecting in and honoring and loving the endlessness of what everything is, just endless and boundless. And then Virgo's like, hey, your energy throughout the day is not endless and boundless. Like, you have these kind of like realistic limitations on your body and what your body can do in a day. And so, but yeah, there's this really beautiful earthy energy with Mars in Taurus right now, and then the Saturn and Venus in Capricorn of like, okay, giving ourselves this space to like dream big. Again, sort of echoing that Aquarius new moon, this Pisces new moon that'll be coming up on March 6th will also echo that. Of having this opportunity to sort of like bring the things into concrete reality and have this connection, this bigger connection with Source, this bigger connection with like our personal journey and our personal purpose here. That's Pisces energy, is like really connecting in with this bigger sense of purpose, and to be a channel for Source, rather than kind of like other signs in the zodiac enforce this, like, I am an individual, I am unique. Pisces is like, we're just all, as I've said a bunch of times, we're just literally holograms. We're mainly made up of empty space. Like, that is the emphasis of this month. And this Virgo full moon right now is like, ooh, that's true. And also, like, how can you do that in a way that's like really actually healthy and beneficial for your body, and where you're not totally abandoning your responsibilities. And so having that Mercury and Neptune together, Mercury rules Virgo, so Mercury in Pisces with Neptune, there's a emphasis on this Pisces stuff. And so the Virgo full moons can kind of feel like, whoa, like sort of bringing us back down into reality for a second, and again can be jarring or scary or make you feel self-conscious. But with all this earthy energy, there definitely is this potential to bring things into reality, to manifest things. This could be a time of inception, getting this like awakenings, big ideas, big things coming in, and then all that earth energy is like, okay, now how are we, like, let's make it happen. Taurus is like the one foot after the other, like chipping away at these bigger projects, and Capricorn is like my reputation, my purpose, my thing that I'm doing here, and that there's a way that that can be connected in with this like purpose and in a larger, grander, but at the same time also just like so subtle and gentle. Like Pisces is like, yeah, sort of calling us to remember to come home to our to come home to source. Even while we're still here on earth, there can be so much like sorrow and heaviness. So I'm going to pull some cards and just kind of see what else maybe is going to be coming up with this full moon. Okay. First card is the Ten of Wands. Yeah, that's a little overwhelming. Like, there's so many ideas, there's so much potential, there's so many things that could be happening. It's a little overburdened, overwhelmed. There can be a really celebratory and like element of this, but yeah, this can be just feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities or commitments. Five of Cups. This is total Pisces vibes around rejection. This can be this like rejecting ourselves, even like you thought you could go and make this thing happen and it's not happening, so now like retreat in sorrow. That's kind of part of what can be coming up here. This could also just lead to endings of things, sort of cleansing, letting go of things that you don't need anymore, if that's people in your lives, jobs, responsibilities. This can be sort of just like it echoes some of the sentiments of like the Hermit in certain ways, kind of like going inward, but there can be some really intense, heavy, emotional things kind of surfacing. And the Seven of Cups. I think this brings in sort of this piece around confusion and split energy, uncertainty of where to put. Pisces stuff can bring in just like kind of, whoa, it all just gets a little trippy and murky and unclear, and so it can be bringing in some of that uncertainty. So we'll just pull one more and see if we get any kind of advice for how to be navigating this like kind of overwhelming feeling. Really, I think this can also be like, oh, I have to make the right decision right now, or I'm going to fear of rejection, I'm going to get sort of pushed away, and there's so much pressure. And I think that can be that Virgo energy of putting like a little too much pressure on the situation. So cute. So connecting with people and like prioritizing relationships that are loving and healthy and fulfilling and that mirror you back to you. You know, where that Virgo stuff, the moon sort of mirroring the sun back to the sun, that Pisces, showing all the vulnerabilities of Pisces, can be just like, can feel pretty harsh. So I think like the people in life who are in your lives, who are like who are really there for your healing process, and who, you know, can sort of be there as you sort through some of like the uncertainty or murkiness, that there's even maybe potential for just like new relationships to start, new connections that are really trusting. But this seems just really like get cozy with people who make you feel safe, and allow that space for that vulnerability as we sort of like prepare for this new moon in Pisces. So this is a long one today. I want to thank you all for tuning in, especially if you made it this far. That's crazy. And yeah, feel free to reach out, and I hope you all have a really awesome and gentle day today. Love to you all.